All right, welcome everyone. Today's show on mastering rich relationships, how to build $1 million network that unlocks new opportunities, clients, and collaborations. If you're excited, type in a +1 and let us know where you're tuning in from. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things, posting, improving your offers, showing up, but the right opportunities still aren't coming fast enough? Have you ever had one conversation that opened more doors than months of effort on your own? And have you ever wished you had a network of people who champion you, refer you, collaborate with you, and help you grow your business with more ease? If you're nodding, you're absolutely in the right room today. For those who are meeting me for the first time, hi, I'm Diana YK Chan, Mastermind and Retreat Facilitator, Business Growth Strategist, LinkedIn Top Voice, 11-time LinkedIn Learning Instructor. I help coaches, creators, and speakers build influential brands, generate consistent leads, and scale to multi 6 and 7 figure businesses without burning out. Most people think success comes from more hustle or strategy. But after coaching thousands of leaders for the last 15 years, I can tell you with certainty that it's relationships that move the needle. It's relationships that accelerate growth. It's relationships that change everything. And every breakthrough in my own career, speaking at the UN 7 times, becoming 11-time LinkedIn Learning Instructor, closing my first 6 figure executive coaching deal, unlocking collaborations and client opportunities, and building a 7 figure business while working part-time, all came from rich relationships. And many of you have shared with me that nurturing relationships feels overwhelming, or following up may feel awkward, or you're unsure what to say, or you don't want to feel pushy, or you simply don't know how to activate the amazing people already in your network. If you can relate to this, type in a +1. And this is exactly why today's conversation is so essential. Today is all about learning how to build a network rooted in trust, generosity, and intentionality. A network that brings you visibility, referrals, collaborations, and clients in a way that feels aligned, natural, and human. And there's no one better to guide this conversation than today's guest, Selena Soo. I met Selena in September 2025, and in just a few short months, she has become one of my richest relationships. Since that first dinner, I've read her entire book, Rich Relationships, and been recommending to all my clients and friends. This is such a great book to gift for the holidays as well. Attended her virtual and Toronto Rich Relationships mixer, flown to Austin for her Rich Relationships Mastery event, joined her VIP parties, and recently even hosted her at my home, sharing some great conversations, dinner, foot massage, and a full day at the spa. And every moment, Selena embodies what she teaches: warmth, generosity, intentionality, and meaningful conversations. So let me give you the formal introduction about Selena. Selena is an award-winning business and relationship strategist, best-selling author of Rich Relationships, creator of the Rich Relationship Mastery events, and founder of the Rich Relationships Club, an invite-only global community. She has generated over 8 figures, built a network of over 400 affiliate partners, and helped thousands of entrepreneurs unlock their visibility, collaborations, and opportunities through meaningful relationships. So, before I bring Selena to the stage, let's warm up the chat here. If you purchased her book or it's on your reading list, type in the book or just show it on the camera as well. And if you want more aligned opportunities, clients, and collaborations in 2026, type in a +1. All right, looks like everyone is ready and excited here. So let's bring Selena here onto the stage. Welcome, Selena.
Hello, hello. I'm so thrilled to be here. I love that we have such a great group of people and that you all understand the power of rich relationships and are ready to bring this into your business in a bigger way. Yeah, I'm so thrilled to dive in with you, Diana.
Oh, thank you so much. So how it's going to work today is I have some questions prepared for Selena, and
Yeah.
we would love for you to chime into the chat with us as well. We're going to also open up the floor for questions there. So, Selena, I'm going to start off with some questions to learn more about the origin of rich relationships. What inspired you to write Rich Relationships, and why do you believe relationships are the most powerful driver of opportunities.
Absolutely. So early on, it was really clear to me that the fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be is rich relationships, and the quality of our business is determined by those relationships, right? The people around us who want to support us, who want to see us win, people like mentors, referral partners, star clients. At the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. And so I wanted to show people how they can unlock that same power in their business. I'm someone that actually identifies as a super introvert. And for a good portion of my life, definitely consider myself to be a shy person. But even still, I was able to generate 400 affiliate partners, over 100,000 emails over the course of a year through, affiliate partnerships and relationships and so much more. And so I think that a lot of people assume that you need to have a certain kind of personality, like you need to be a super extrovert, that you need to have rock solid confidence, and that you also need to have a lot of time and energy in order to create these relationships. And that's really not the case. This is something that's really accessible to everyone. And also it's a strategy that's timeless. There's things that we may learn in business that might be helpful for a season or it might be a passing trend. But rich relationships are always going to be relevant.
Oh, that's great to hear that. Anyone can relate to this. Do we have any introverts in the room here? If you type in an introvert. I had a couple of you message me about this. Thank you for sharing that there. So, Selena, I know in terms of rich relationship, how would you define what is rich relationship? How is it different for the traditional way of networking?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. So,
20.
I think we need some background noise with someone, but okay. So, a rich relationship is one that massively enriches the quality
Yeah,
of your
feels like it's
business
on my
and your
mind.
life. And there are
And
three
then make sure
core
to, take
characteristics.
down whatever it says in terms of where we need to go at new
Can we
work
just
and
mute
all of
whoever's
that.
talking here? Sorry, I'm just gonna mute there. I moved everyone here. Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. And so there are three core characteristics. One is your rich relationships help you reach your biggest goals and dreams faster, right? And related to that, your rich relationships, they want to see you win, right? They want to see you being successful. Your rich relationships also create financial abundance in your life. Sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's indirect, right? It could be a mentor that helps you unlock a new multi-six-figure revenue stream in your business that never existed before. It could also be a friend who, when you're, feeling less than confident, they help you gain that confidence back and move forward, right? So there's many different types of rich relationships, but they do create that abundance for you and your business. And then last but not least, rich relationships inspire you to become the best version of yourself. And so when you're in relationship with this person, the energy feels expansive. It feels energizing, right? They see the best in you. They inspire you to play bigger. So those are the qualities of a rich relationship. So I think, some people when they hear a rich relationship, they might think, oh, it's with people who are rich or it's people who are powerful. But these other qualities I mentioned are really key because just because someone's influential and successful, if they don't care about you and they don't want to see you win, that's not a rich relationship. If it's unhealthy, if it's toxic, if it makes you doubt yourself, if it makes you play small, again, that is not a rich relationship.
That's so good to hear that. Yes, I really love that we define what rich relationship is because you really embody that. Because one thing that I've really learned from you the last few months is how can we really support one another, right?
Hmm.
Help each other grow, champion each other, and that's what it's all about. And can you walk us through your framework of build,
Yes.
nurture, and activate of those three
Yeah.
phases? What does that each look like when someone is intentionally building a network that leads to opportunities?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to talk about this, and we're all going to do a self audit as we go through this process. So, really, to create that $1 million network for your business, there are three phases. So, I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on each of these phases and drop it in the chat. We can see which one is strongest and which one area needs more help. Okay. So, phase one is build. So, the first step to having this rich network is identifying who are the kinds of people who I want inside it, right? Do you know the right people? Are you putting yourself in the right rooms? Are the people around you people that can actually support you with your goals and catapult you to the next level? And then also, once you've identified who these people are and you're putting yourself in those rooms, do you have have you made that initial connection where they're curious about you, you're presenting yourself in the best light, and so forth? So, step one is build. I'd love for you to share on a scale of 1 to 5 how strong you are. 5 would be high in terms of, okay, I have built a network, I know who the people are, and they're currently in my network. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, how strong are those? Okay, so we're seeing 3, 2. I saw 5 earlier, 3. Okay, right. So for many of you in the middle, Amy says 4, 3 to 4. Okay, beautiful. So that's step one. So then this next step is nurture, because you can build the rich relationships, you can put yourself in the rooms, you can know the right people, but the reality is, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. You actually have to stay in touch with your rich relationships and invest in them and pour into them. Because, if you're the kind of person, and none of us want to be this person, right? But if someone circles back with someone only when they need a big favor and they haven't been in touch for 3 years, right? It's going to feel transactional. You don't want those kind of relationships. But when people feel like I'm important to this person, they show up for me, they stay in touch with me, then you really have a solid foundation for creating so much more together. But the issue that a lot of people have is they're like, I don't have a lot of time, or, I've met multiple thousands of the people over my course of my career and life that I feel overwhelmed and I feel paralyzed. And so people just sometimes don't do anything, right? So this nurture piece is really important. And one of the things I love teaching people are systems to keep your rich relationship strong without it taking very much of your time. And so I'm curious how you would self-rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of how well you do at nurturing your rich relationships right now. Okay, so I see some 2s. I see 4. I see 4. Okay, beautiful. 3. Yeah, self-awareness is so important. Just knowing, where am I at in this current moment? Okay, beautiful. 2. Okay, so now we're going to talk about phase 3. So we talked about, building the network. We talked about pouring in, investing in those important relationships, and then there's activation. Because the truth is that when you pour into your rich relationships, but you're never receiving anything in return, when it's one-sided, when it comes to your most important moments in your life, if no one is showing up for you, then that's not truly a rich network, even if the right people are in it, right? Doesn't that make sense, right? We really have to have that skill to activate and unlock the power of the network in front of us. And there's so much I have to say around this topic. This is one of my favorite parts because a lot of people just get so stuck here. And this is something that I've done very successfully, and I love helping other people. So, activating your network looks like really leaning in for support, whether it's like, oh, you need to get more clients and you have people that can send ideal clients your way, or you've got an event coming up and there are people that are referring and filling up the room for you, or you're launching a new website and you're able to get testimonials from incredible people who are so happy to share their words of endorsement. Maybe you have a book coming out, or you have a podcast and people are leaving those iTunes reviews and those Amazon reviews. People are showing up and doing things to really help you further your goals, right? So, how would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of how you have been activating your network currently to support you? So, let's take a look. So, you got a 3.5, fantastic. Anyone else want to share where they're at? 2.5 to, I know I always do like the 0.25s, 0.75. I love the specificity. 4.5. Okay, amazing. Lisa, 1 to 2. Okay, Orly, thank you for sharing that. Okay, beautiful. 3. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So yeah, now that you know which part is going to be where you have the biggest gap, then definitely, keep your ears open because we're going to be diving into each of these 3 areas in this conversation together.
That is so amazing. I love that you walk through this framework because it feels so easy to follow. And I want to add some examples because this is such a beautiful framework: build, nurture, activate. I've always
Yeah.
loved building my network because I came to Canada all by myself when I was 16 with zero network. So I've always learned the importance of building the network and the nurturing piece. What I love to doing, something I call it's like my Friday follow up, where I'll just sit on my chair here with my coffee, and I love just sending voice notes to let someone know that I'm thinking about them. Here's a resource for you. You shared this. I love facilitating introductions, or just doing the little things to let people know that you're thinking about them. And I love how even recently that you and I met, Selena, when you knew that I was hosting my own luncheon event, that you also shared that that you want to share with some people who could benefit from attending that event. And so it's these things that we do, that letting people know that we're thinking about them really helps with deepening that relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with the examples that you shared, things like sending a quick voice message to someone that might take, 30 seconds or making an introduction. These aren't things that take hours and hours of time, but they can make a really big impact into someone feeling seen and supported.
Yeah. So I know in your book, at the inner cover here, you talk about how one rich relationship is more valuable than 100 casual connections. Can you share an example where a single connection opened multiple doors for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, I would say it's probably like the number one skill before you move forward with, rich relationships. You need to be good at discerning which relationships have an energy of abundance, where there's synergy, where there's possibility, where the person cares about you and wants to see you win. Because a lot of people, they might be like, I'm not really receiving anything, or my relationships are one-sided. And there's multiple things that could be at play, but sometimes we're pouring energy into the wrong kinds of people. And so, an example of a rich relationship that has really supported my business growth is my friend Laura Belgray. And a mutual friend, Matthew Kimberly, put us in touch, and we met up in the West Village, and we had a beautiful pasta dinner together. And yeah, we became fast friends. And one of the things at the time, I don't actually, if you know Laura in the chat, just drop the word Laura. I'm curious how many people know who Laura is. But basically, she was working with a woman named Marie Forleo, and she was kind of like her behind the scenes copywriter. She was helping, Marie kind of build her brand and write her scripts for Marie TV and do all these things. But she was always known as so and so's copywriter versus a leader in her own right. And so she wanted to step from out of the shadows and into the spotlight. And so I was like, well, I really think that you want to build a brand and get your name out there and start getting some publicity for your business. And so I had, different media contacts. I was like, I really think that I have this contact at Business Insider. I think they'd be really interested in your story. And so I met with her and I helped her shape a story. And at the time, the story was something along the lines of like how this copywriter makes $1,500 an hour, working from her couch. And this was before like COVID days. So it was like, oh my gosh, you can just like lay around and work from your couch and make all this money. And she had like really unique businesses that she was supporting, from people that made chocolate angels to sex toy owners. And so he just made like a really interesting story. And she started getting articles in Business Insider and Fast Company and Forbes, growing her email list, creating like this viral presence. And so that was like big for her. And then from there, she ended up becoming an affiliate for a program that I ran for 7 years called Impacting Millions. It was a $3,000 annual group program on how to get media. And so Laura would share about the program to her email list. And she's someone that when it comes to affiliate stuff, she goes all in because that's like an important revenue stream for her. And so over I think it was like 4 or 5 years that she promoted, collectively, that has generated $1 million in revenue for my business. And at the time we were doing 50% affiliate commissions. So she made great money. I also made great money from that promotion. And there's so many other things in terms of how we just like continuously support each other. But that's an example of a rich relationship that just came from a place of like, me feeling like inspired to support her, having ideas, making connections, using my gifts, which are publicity, to help her reach her goals. And then it leading into this big partnership where I got on the map and a lot of great people knew about me. But then also was able to serve a lot more people, in my Impacting Millions program.
Wow, that's such an amazing example. Audience, I want to hear from you if there's any examples of stories that you want to share here. That is so incredible, right? Where you both win-win. Like quick stories for me, like how I got even to speak at the UN, like people always ask me, was because of my former client, where I helped her get back to head office, headquarters. And she was so grateful that I helped her get to there. And because of that, she highly recommended me for International Women's Day as a keynote speaker. And that's how I got in that first introduction that led to subsequent introductions there. And so that's really the power of rich relationship. Or even I had someone who helped me become a LinkedIn learning instructor, someone who was I stayed in touch with through LinkedIn over the years, as a content manager. She got me in the first one. We stayed in touch. And then the following year, before she went on mat leave, she approved all 10 of my other courses. That was how I got to like 11 courses. So it really helped me fast track
Mhm.
that growth that led to thousands of people viewing the course. There's now like over like a quarter million of people watching it. So that really speaks about the power of rich relationships that you can really grow much faster with having people to support you. So one of the things that when I read your book, Selena, I thought one of the most eye-opening concept was just around having the 10 different types of rich relationship. Can you walk us through these 10 types and how understanding them helps someone intentionally build a network full of support, collaborations, and champions? Pay attention,
Yeah,
please, everyone. Take notes. This is a really good
yeah.
one.
Absolutely. So there's 10 different types of rich relationships, and the truth is you don't need all of them at the same time. It's really going to depend on what your various goals and dreams are, but we all need, multiple of them activated, right, at any one time. So the first rich relationship is a mentor. This is somebody who can help you shortcut the time it takes to go from where you are to reaching your goals, and provide you with incredible advice, right? So a mentor can literally unlock new multi six or seven or, figure revenue streams in your business. So mentor is huge. Another one is promoters, right? And so once our business is established, we have solid offers, we need other people to be amplifying our work. We can't be the only person saying we're great at what we do, right? And so promoters could look like people who are affiliate partners, referral partners. I would also put media in this category, people who amplify your message. And then another kind of rich relationship would be a super connector. These people are sometimes maybe even more behind the scenes. They might not be, well known. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, but they can quickly, like once they know what your problem is or what you're needing, they're like, oh, you should meet this person. And knowing one super connector is truly like knowing 100 or 1,000 people, because of how connected they are. There's also gatekeepers. And so these are people who are highly trusted by very influential people that can open up doors. So let's say, you're looking to get to like Oprah Winfrey, right? Probably can't get there directly, but there may be a gatekeeper. Maybe it's her assistant, maybe it's her best friend, maybe it is someone that works closely with her, that she gets advice from. And it's going to be only through the gatekeeper that you can access that individual. Then we also have team members because I believe that team are part of our rich relationships. It's not just people who are far outside that we want to build new relationships with. It's people who are on the ground who can really make or break our business, right? So it's important to surround ourselves with the right people. Confidants is another category. So people where we can share the messiest parts of ourselves who aren't just there for the highs, they're also there for the lows, and can really help you get your confidence back. And then there are star clients, right? So people who are basically the embodiment of what is possible when others work with you, right? They're the poster child. And, it's great to have a diverse group of star clients that attract more people into your business. We also have super fans, and they might never be paying clients. Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. But every time you post on social media, they're one of the first to comment, the first to share, the first to buy the book, the first to show up at the event, and so forth. So those are some of the different types of rich relationships. Oh, investor is another one. If you're in a place where you're looking to raise money or just need certain resources to grow and scale your business. So those are some of the key rich relationships to grow your business.
That's great. First of all, I just want to give a shout out to Lisa who's typed out all like the 10 different types of rich relationships to help everyone here. I'm going to give her a shout out on this. And something that I've recently learned from you, which I think why this is so important, is having these 10 different types of relationships that you can also look at based on the goals that you have. You can look at, okay, well, who are the people that you want to meet to nurture so that you can unlock new opportunities? Like, is there a piece of advice that you can ask for like an action item they can do based on these 10 rich relationships that you shared? What's something can you do as a homework to help them with achieving their goals for 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and I think I didn't mention yet the peer. So that's the person that is kind of on the same journey as you. So I think the first thing to do is to identify what are your top three goals in business and life. What are the things that would help you make your biggest impact if you were to reflect, next year at the end of 2026 and be so proud, what would need to happen, right? So then once you have your goals, you can identify the rich relationships that correspond with that. For some people, if you're like very solid in your business model, you know exactly what you're doing, but you just need more amplification, then it's going to be promoters, right? Or maybe super connectors. For others that are maybe in transition or pivoting, maybe it's the confidant, right? Or maybe it's the business, the peer, or it could be the mentor. So I would say like the assignment would be to identify what are the top three rich relationships that make most sense for you to invest in this, next season of your career.
That's great. Audience, type in what are the top three rich relationships that you really want to cultivate in 2026. Just type in those so we can get intentional on the people that you really want to call in for 2026 here. So, Selena, you also talk about the different circles of connection. It's such a powerful way to map out your network, and I think it's such a great way to manage your time, energy, and protecting your peace. Can you explain what these circles represent and how someone can use them to see where their strongest relationships are and where the gap exists?
Yeah, so this is my number one framework in the book, the six circles of connection. So it's this idea that everybody you meet, everyone in the world falls into one of these six circles. And a big part of being successful in rich relationships is knowing what circles people are in and knowing how to manage your energy appropriately. Okay, so let's start with like think of like, a bunch of concentric circles. We're going to start with circle one. That is your innermost circle. As I'm talking about each of these circles, I want you to think about who are in these circles for you. Okay. So, circle one, these are your innermost connections. These are people that basically you're doing life with, and you're typically in touch with them on a daily or maybe weekly basis. They see your highs, they see your lows, and you know that you're a priority in their life. So for most people, we have one to three of these circle one relationships. Sometimes people have zero. It can be a handful more. For myself, I have, a trusted confidant in my life that I talk to daily, who would be my circle one. I have another friend who is just like in touch with me on the regular, every day, kind of like checking in, cheering me on, whether I'm getting on the plane to Dubai and it's like safe travels to Dubai, or, we're just always in constant conversation, right? That would be a circle one relationship. If you have a romantic partner, a life partner who is a supportive relationship, that would also be circle one. So, okay, next we're going to go into circle two. So, circle two are your treasured connections. So, they're similar to circle one, and that these are people that really show up for you. There is no doubt that you are a priority in their life. If you were like texted them and you're like, I need help, like, I really need to talk to you this evening, like something has come up, you know that they are people that would rearrange their schedule to show up for you, right? But with circle two relationships, even though it feels like such a soul connection, they're not necessarily people that you're talking to on the daily or on the weekly, but you can tap into them when you need them, right? So these could be people who are some of your very best friends. It might be team members of yours. It could be collaborators that really show up for you. And your team members, you might speak to them daily, but they may not be a circle one, because that is like the most innermost relationships where they kind of know, everything, right? So for most people, we have like half a dozen to about, a dozen or so of these circle two relationships. Okay, so next we have circle three. So this is your active network. And so this is multiple dozens of people. These are people that you're actively in touch with, relationships that you are nurturing. These are people that if you're hosting a holiday party or a party for your business, they would be getting the invite. If they came to town and they needed a place to crash at your, for one night and you're comfortable having people in your home, like you would have them, you'd be comfortable letting them in. And there's three characteristics that have to be in place for someone to be in circle three. It's the three R's. So one is you have to respect them. You have to hold them in high regard, right? You look up to them for their personal character and who they are in the world. The other R is recommend. This is someone that you would recommend to others. You feel comfortable putting them in touch with your other rich relationships and having your personal brand aligned with theirs. And then last but not least, the third R is responsive. If someone is in circle three, they're in your active network. If you reach out to them, you should expect to hear back from them. Now, I know people are busy, so sometimes there needs to be a follow-up, but these are not people who ghost you or make you feel like they have no time for you, right? So those are the qualities of people that are in circle three. So that can be multiple dozens, that could be 100 plus. For some people that are very well networked, that might be even, close to 200 people. So those are your circle three relationships. Now, next we have circle four. So these are your distant connections, right? And so there's a couple reasons why someone might be in circle four. So one might be they're a new relationship, they're an acquaintance, and they're someone that you're getting to know better, right? If I meet someone, even though I like them so much, but I've only had one conversation, I still don't truly know who they are. There is not enough time spent, there's not enough trust built in order for them to be in those like inner circles of one, two, and three, right? So we can feel like, oh, this person's my business bestie, or I should hire them immediately. But they're still on some level a stranger if it's only one or two, right? Early interactions. Another reason why someone might be in circle four is you may have known them for years and years, but you have, lost touch with them, or maybe there is some kind of values misalignment. It's like you really care about them, but you notice that maybe they're always down in the dumps. They're really negative. They're constantly saying negative things about other people, and that doesn't really resonate with you. Or there's someone that self-sabotages, or they don't follow through on their word, and you're not going to expel them from your network, but you wouldn't feel comfortable recommending them to others. They're not someone that's really like aligns with who you are and how you show up in the world. So you have them around, but there's a little bit of like an arm's length distance, right? Energetically. And then the other reason why someone could be in circle four is you're just in a place where your circle one, two, and threes are filled to the brim and you don't have the bandwidth, right, to invest in that relationship. So those are reasons why you got those circle four relationships, and those would be multiple hundreds or multiple thousands of people. Now we move into circle five. So this is disconnected relationships. And so typically this happens when someone has betrayed you, a line has been crossed, and it's at a place where, if you're honest with yourself, this is not a healthy relationship. This is not a relationship you want to pour into. This is not a relationship where you feel safe in the relationship. So, if you were invited to a small six-person brunch and you knew that that person would be at the brunch and sitting next to you, and you're like, I don't want to be in that room, like I'm going to pass. That's how you know, okay, they're in circle five. And so the reality is, over multiple decades of life, many of us do have a couple people who are in circle five, and it's really good to honor that and know that you're someone that can keep yourself safe and away from circle five relationships. And sometimes people have done nothing wrong to you, but they have done things to other people that you care about, or they have a bad reputation. I have had many situations where, because I host very intimate groups, intimate gatherings, in person and virtual, that I consider to be my $100 million network. And people are investing, in these groups because of the curation. And I'm not going to let, someone who is dishonest or manipulative or just harmful into my community. So I might have interacted with them, but I already know at their circle five, and so I'm not allowing them in. There's that boundary. Now, then there's circle six. So circle six is everyone else in the world who you have not connected with. You might, know them from afar, but unless you've had a conversation, they would be in that circle six unconnected category. And so, I think this is so important to manage our energy. And we don't have to tell people, oh, wow, like I thought you were circle two, but now I'm going to move you to circle four, right? You don't have to know, or they don't have to know, but internally, right? The other thing is, I remember hearing someone say a number of years ago that maintaining a friendship not rooted in your truth keeps you out of integrity. maintaining a friendship not rooted in your truth keeps you out of integrity. And frankly, any kind of relationship. And at the time, it really like hit me like a ton of bricks. I just remember having shivers, and even now, because I had like several relationships that were out of integrity, not because I was seeking misaligned relationships, but rather when I would meet people, you just simply don't know. It takes time for people to reveal yourself and to see if there is that true energetic and values alignment. And one of my weaknesses is once I let someone into my inner circle and poured into them and connected with them, it was really hard for me to create that energetic boundary. I felt beholden to them. And therefore, I allowed myself to be in relationships that were even at times emotionally abusive and unhealthy. And so having these circles really helped me, and so it's not always, removing people from your network, although there have been a couple of times I've had to like formally like remove someone, which was an interesting experience. But other times it's just like putting less energy, not responding so quickly. And then they start to feel the shift, right? And the truth is, one thing that helps me is knowing that if this is not an aligned relationship for me, if I'm like not feeling it, then it's also not good for them either. There are other people that are going to care about them more and want to invest, right? So it's not working out for one person. On some level, it's not working out for the other person either.
This is so helpful. I want to ask the audience, what are some of your big ahas so far? Because we just learned a lot from Selena here. Just type in some of your ahas. Like, what are some like key takeaways? Like, we just got the foundation right now. What are rich relationships? The 10 different types of rich relationships, and the 6 different types of circles. I feel like this is so useful because now we can better prioritize managing our time and energy. And this ties in really nicely. Like what I've learned, I'm learning about this is just who gets more of my attention and time by knowing
Hmm.
who's in my circle. And something that I recently shared as well, because even for me, I've been really expanding my network, meeting a lot of people, hosting events this year. Something that I've learned, and my team reminded me that part of it is also like for them to understand who are the people that I want to continue to nurture and activate, and who are the people we call it the do not contact list because they drain you. Right. That's something I had to do this year too, is like having a do not contact list so that my team doesn't reach out to them by accident, inviting them to an event. And so knowing these different circles is going to help you with prioritization and managing your time and energy here. So we're going to now move into the second segment here. I want to talk a little bit about mindset, fears, and I want to ask the audience, like, what are some of your biggest fears when it comes to building rich relationships? What are the concerns or roadblocks you have? Because that's something, a common question I've been hearing a lot recently in my own community, Selena. And so a lot of them feel awkward about reaching out or worry that they're bothering other people. What are some of the mindset shifts required to help someone take that first step with confidence?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of things. One is when we're building relationships, we want to come from a place of relaxed abundance, right? So with a relaxed abundance, it's, feeling like your cup is full, and that you're coming from a place of generosity and service versus desperation. Not like I need something to happen, but rather I'm the kind of person that pours into my rich relationships. When people get to know me, I make their lives better, right? So for me, when I'm connecting with, all kinds of people, right? I never am feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't want to burden them because I know that actually like it's going to be beneficial for both of us to be in rich relationship together. And I think that people can feel when someone has an energy of desperation or they're trying to transact and make things happen. I've definitely had, situations where someone will introduce me to someone that really wants to connect with me. And, occasionally I'll say, okay, sure. And I'll get on the phone and they're hoping in one conversation they can lock me as a referral partner for their business. But yet I, have only known them for 20 minutes and I'm not familiar with the quality of their work, or they're like, hey, like I would love to support you and send you clients and I've got this thing and da da da. And to me, and we've all made those mistakes. And so it's not to judge anyone. And at the same time, there is that like, like that's kind of maybe lacking in professional and like business like maturity and discernment, because I wouldn't just send my clients to anyone just because they're offering like referral commission. I think for, almost everybody I know, we're motivated to make connections when we really feel there's true alignment. The other person is going to be beneficial, and able to help them. And so Yeah, I think that what helps from a mindset perspective is knowing that you're a rich giver and then you always give more than you take. Or sometimes we are in the place where we're receiving more, but that you have a spirit of generosity and that you're going to show up for other people and make their life richer by being a part of it. I think for me, that takes away the fear.
Yeah, thank you for that. Let me see what if anyone has any fears here. But I love this concept of just shifting that mindset of believing, like being a rich giver, right? Because
Yeah.
the more you give, and it's that abundance, and people feel that energy, the heart that you want to help one another. I know you've coined the term breathtaking generosity. What does that look like in everyday rich relationship building?
Absolutely. So breathtaking generosity is what it sounds like. It's when someone is so kind and generous, it literally takes your breath away. You feel transformed, you feel moved, you feel emotional by how this person has shown up for you. And so the exciting thing is all of us can be breathtakingly generous. It's really not that hard, but there are two primary ways to do that in a way that is super high impact. So, number one is to be a pain detective, and number two is to be a dream amplifier. So, you might be saying, well, Selena, Diana, like, how do I know that someone's in pain, right? How do I know it's like time to show up? So, there's a couple categories of pain that you can really keep your eyes open for. So, one is natural disaster, right? So, drop a one in the chat if you know someone who has been affected by a natural disaster in the past couple years. Hurricanes, floods, fires, right? So when someone is, in that kind of situation, I like to say, be the first to show up and not the last to show up, right? And sometimes we think, oh, everyone's going to be reaching out to them. And the truth is really not that many people are. And it doesn't mean that you have to solve the problem for them. It's just being like, sending them a quick voice note. Hey, I'm thinking of you. I'm here for you. Please lean on me and tap into me for support, right? So natural disaster is one of them. Another pain is around relationships. And so someone might be really successful in business, but maybe they're struggling in their personal relationships. Maybe their marriage is on the rocks. Maybe they're navigating a divorce. Maybe their kids are having significant behavioral issues. Maybe, there are issues with their parents. And so sometimes we can support people and be rich relationships by being a listening ear and being that emotional support for them, or providing solutions or making introductions for people who can help them get out of that pain. Another one is financials. So there may be people in your world who are having significant financial dips in their business, and that's a lot of people at this time with shifts in the marketplace, or maybe it's identity. They're reinventing themselves and their business model. And I know that I went through this when I ran Impacting Millions for 7 years, and we had big, significant seven-figure launches. When I decided to shut that down, I remember feeling like, okay, I don't have this offering. Like everybody, I'm known for being the super connector, for getting people in media, for having these big launches with 200 active partners. And now that I don't have any of that, am I still relevant, right? And of course we are to our rich relationships, but we all have those doubts and insecurities when we're going navigating like big life changes, right? So showing up for people. And I remember the people that proactively reached out to me when I shut down Impacting Millions, one of my mentors. And she was like, hey, I saw that you're shutting down Impacting Millions. I just want you to know I'm here for you. And as you're navigating your next steps, let me know if you want to jump on a call. And, it's totally, I just want to show up as a friend, totally complimentary. And yeah, I had a great call with her name's Jen Kem. And then after the call, she's like, well, if you need me again, like, please reach out to me. I'm here for you. And I really remember that. I really remember like the two or three people out of the, many hundreds of people that I know that really made it known, like, I'm here for you. So yeah, I'll never, forget them, right? Um, and yeah, those are some of the biggest categories. I mean, there are even more, right? But again, when people are in pain, how can you be the first to show up and not the last to show up? And then let's talk about dreams, right? So everybody has big goals and dreams that they want to achieve. It's their way for them to fully express themselves in the world, to self-actualize, to make their biggest impact. And so, as someone who is a rich giver, you want to be on the lookout. What is someone's goal and dream, and how can I help them reach that goal and dream faster? So, I think that this is definitely one of my strengths. And I feel like, Diana, this is also one of your strengths. Like, you really pay attention, like, oh, this is meaningful to this person. Let me really show up and support them. I'm not the kind of person, and nothing wrong with this, but I'm not the kind of person that necessarily is, spending several hours with someone and doing, all these different things. Sometimes with my rich relationships, I'm just sending like 30-second voice notes or showing up in the critical moments. But I'm not, as an introvert, I'm not just like out there all the time going to every single party. I'm really like managing my energy intentionally, but I show up at the right places at the right time. And so, dreams that people may have, they might want to, maybe they're launching a book or a podcast, or they're looking to enroll more people into their programs. They're looking for more visibility for their business. They're looking to expand their business and hire incredible team members. That was a way that I was fortunately able to support Diana, where she had a vision of where she wanted to take things and realizing I can't just do this on my own, right? And me being like, I've got someone really great who I work with that I think could be so supportive, because that's a big lifesaver. I mean, we all know what it's like to hire the wrong person, to spend money, to have like frustration and feel like we got to pull our hair out. So connecting people to like incredible resources and people. Um, and so, yeah, how can you be that person when someone has that big goal and dream that you're on it and you're there to help them achieve it?
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing this. I want to ask the audience, like, what are some examples of being generous, kind, supportive, and helpful? And I'm so grateful that you recently recommended me someone to hire, like, who's now my new project manager, and honestly saved me so much time because I didn't even have to do a job posting. I didn't have to screen hundreds of applications and you reject. Like, that just saved me so much time and energy that I was like, wow, I'm so grateful because you paid attention to what I shared with you there. And even like little things like I knew that you wanted to build your network here in Toronto and helping you find like a venue hosting your first lunch mixer here. And that was such a great success. And so be able to just pay attention to what people's goals are and dreams are. It's a great way to add value and be generous and kind. I talk a lot about positive networking that I talk from my keynotes of how it's all about discovering what you can do for others, discovering what you
Mm,
can do for others. So I have this ABC principle is about always be curious, always be
mm,
connecting, and always be cultivating. And so where you're
mm.
in this mindset of curiosity, connecting, and cultivating, you're listening to what people are sharing with you and how you can be the one to I'm using this word like bridge to make introductions, to promote, to share. I remember I shared an example when I decided to level up my business, elevate my brand, and this was during when I was pregnant in 2015. My best friend quit her job to come help me with my business.
Oh my
She
gosh.
quit her job, her corporate job to come help me, and she took over my whole entire business of managing all my clients, launching my new brand, launching my new website. That took my breath away. She helped me with
Mm,
recording all the content and just that generosity of giving was like what I'll remember till this date there. And so I
right.
love just pampering my friends and clients as well, like treating them to like I'm a foodie like you, Selena, like
Mhm.
hosting dinners or like bringing people to the spa to enjoy a day of relaxation, things that feel good to me, but also know that it could be a huge value to others that people appreciate.
Mm.
Yeah. So I want to ask, because one of the questions I know that's coming up from some of your minds here is we're talking about giving here. The common concern or objection I have people will have is where do I find time to do this? What are some time management strategies when it comes to nurturing relationships? How do they do that without feeling overwhelmed or burnt out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think number one is going to be really narrowing your focus and identifying the richest relationships that you want to pour into. So I'm showing up in breathtakingly generous ways for people, but I'm not necessarily doing that for 100 people, but I might be doing that for, half a dozen or a dozen people, right? And so what you want to do is create what I call the top 40 list. And these are 40 of your richest relationships that you want to be cultivating. And so these are going to be relationships that are connected to your goals and dreams, people that feel values aligned, people that feel expansive for you. And then you want to have a nurturing appointment on your calendar. So I recommend having a, 1 hour nurturing appointment per month where you look at your top 40 list and you think about, okay, who am I going to reach out to next? Who am I going to show up and support? So it makes it a lot less overwhelming when it's just like a smaller number of people. And then there's, a lot of different strategies, but I would say my number one favorite strategy is pinging. And pinging is something that doesn't have to take a lot of time. So I'll share a story. So when my book Rich Relationships hit the USA Today bestsellers list, it really felt like it was a big team effort. It didn't feel like it was just my win. It was something where I was just so grateful for all the different people who had showed up and supported me. So right away, I took a screenshot of that. I also hit the LA Times, and so I took a screenshot of both, and I sent it to a handful of friends and said, I hit, number 10 on USA Today and number 3 on LA Times. Thank you so much for like just being one of my richest relationships and supporting me and helping me make my biggest dream come true. Right. And then as I was doing that, I was like, you know what? I should do this with more people because literally it was only taking me like 30 seconds to send that text. It was basically, I would copy and paste, I would like upload and upload, like 2 images, copy and paste the same message like one sentence and then write a personalized sentence, whether it's like, thank you for having me on your podcast. Thank you for pre-ordering the book. Thank you for coming to my virtual launch party, right? So there's something systematic about it, but then there is that personalization that really makes someone feel, seen, right? And so I was like, let me just keep going. Let me go through my cell phone. Let me go through my list of people. And just, the different people have supported me. And so one day I reached out to 70 people. And by the second day, I'd reached out to 120 people. So 120 just like light pings that each took about 30 seconds, right? So it was about an hour, maybe an hour and a half total, but I was tapping into all the people that were important, and then also makes them feel like, wow, like Selena's got so much going on, but the fact that she stopped and took the time to reach out to me personally, like I feel important, right? And I feel like a part of what she's creating with Rich Relationships. And so there are people that wrote back to me, and some people were actually like acting very Circle 4 like to me during the launch, where I was not hearing back from them, but then they were like, oh, because I just hit them in the right moment. Yes, I'm gonna post on, Instagram right now with the book Rich Relationships, right? And one of these people had like 1 million followers, right? So that was great. Another person was like, oh yeah, no, that reminds me, I got to put Rich Relationships in my newsletter this week. One Circle 4 relationship is a friend named Francis Wolf. And we met like 13 years ago at some kind of marketing conference, and we hung out maybe 2 times. So he is an acquaintance, but he sees me posting on social media. And we have the occasional text, here and there, like every other year or so. And we were talking a little bit more, just light chats more recently. And so I sent him the information, or I sent him, the announcement. And then he said to me, Selena, do you think it would make a dent if I emailed my list of 600,000 people and told them to buy the book, Rich Relationships? And I was like, oh my gosh, Francis, are you for real? Like, oh my gosh, that would be huge. Like, yes, right? And and I prepared swipe copy to make it super easy, and he got that email out. But the thing is, if I had approached Francis out of the blue and was like, hey, Francis, I have a book coming out. I was wondering if you would send an email to tell everyone on your list to buy the book, it would be like, no, we don't do that. Right. But because I was nurturing the relationship and he felt important and he knew what my big goals were, like then he was like, oh, what if I did this, right? And so when our nurture game is really strong and we're investing in people who want to see us win, the activation comes really easy. Sometimes we have to explicitly ask people, but for certain people, they will just themselves be like, oh my gosh, I want to help you, right? So anyways, you can see that like that 30-second thing didn't take me a lot of time, but it was very high leverage to touch base with all the different people throughout the book launch, and as I experience my wins and really see it as a community win.
I love that story and example, right? When your nurture game is strong, activation becomes easy. That's the
Hmm.
key here. And I really want to emphasize this because oftentimes, especially with a lot of clients I serve as well, how do I build relationships to get the sale, to get the client? We're thinking in a
Yeah.
more transactional type of mindset, like being like a bit more desperate energy. But the way what you're embodied, this is like a why I'm bringing you in here is it's a philosophy. It was a way of life of how can
Hmm.
I be generous and kind and supportive, really understanding what people's goals are. And the way you do it, Selena, that I find it I want to acknowledge is you're very appreciative and gratitude. I notice the way you reach out to me, to others. There's always this, you start with appreciation and gratitude, what you appreciate about them. So it feels very sincere and warm. And that's how you also like the person will feel important because you're expressing your gratitude, you're acknowledging them. Like one of the things that I think I told you, Celine, like since coming back from your Austin event, I
Yeah.
feel like I've received more positive reinforcement, affirmations, kind words from all the people I met at the event who are telling me, Diana, you're a shining bright light. I want to come to your retreat one day, or I want to
Yeah.
connect you to so and so. I just love your energy, Diana. And I was like, wow, I haven't received that many compliments. Like, I mean, I've received them, but it's just like the last 2 weeks of since meeting, being that network. And I think that's part of like the culture of what the people you bring together who are living that, or embodying that. And that's how you help each other rise.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, when someone does something that is breathtakingly generous, or just generous in general, I believe in saying thank you at least 3 times. And I realized I was just doing it naturally. I realized like that's what I'm doing. Because, for example, like I've had situations where I've connected people to major media opportunities, and if they were to pay a publicist, that would be many thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. And people have referred clients to me and done all these different things. And sometimes, when you just say like thank you once, it's not always fully felt. But when you like really say it with intentionality, like thank you so much, this has made such an impact. Like I'm so moved by how you showed up for me. Then maybe you're posting on social media. I've got to give a shout out to my friend Diana. Thanks to her, we're doing this rich relationships brunch at an amazing venue. You have to really like reinforce it, because when you express gratitude, it really motivates the other person, makes them feel seen and appreciated. And it also has this additional benefit of them wanting to do more. I know that when I help people, it's not because, oh, I'm waiting for them to throw something back at me. It's no, I just really just want to help them. And the reward is in the giving and feeling that made a difference for someone. And so the more positive reinforcement that I get, like, oh my gosh, that really meant something to someone, then I feel motivated to keep on doing more and more for that person. So that's an easy thing for all of us. Like we might have these moments where we're like so grateful for someone, but then we keep it to ourselves. Or like if I were just to be like, oh, just like thanking Diana, or maybe like let's say we're talking about Lisa. I'm like, oh my gosh, Lisa's been an amazing cheerleader, and I'm just so grateful. If I just tell Diana, but I never tell Lisa that I'm feeling like all this gratitude, right? Then I'm not really cultivating the rich relationship I have with that person. And so I just think that there's never too much gratitude. So I would really challenge yourself, rather than just saying a quick thank you. How can your thank you have more depth to it, right? And more detail? And how can you say it 3 times versus one in different ways, right? Over time. So it's really felt by the person.
Oh, such a great exercise. Say it 3 times differently, personalizing it. I love that. There's a question here from Melissa earlier, which ties into the other question, is how do you manage or navigate people fatigue? And I want to also tie this around for those who are introverts who get easily drained. How do you manage that, feel sustainable, aligned with your energy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like a super introvert and I don't have the same energy reserves as other people. And I think because I'm so introverted, that's one of the reasons why I like hosting my own events, because I get to curate a list of amazing people. I get to pick the topic, the venue, and just make it a space that's like really energizing and fun for me. And so for introverts and people that, from time to time, have that introverted energy, I think the number one thing is really getting in tune with how you feel, because the reality is there certain people that energize you and there's others that drain you, extrovert or introvert alike. One of the key differences between the introvert and extrovert personality is extroverts have kind of more kind of battery charge and bandwidth, and they're able to be around large numbers of people for extended periods of time. They also are able to converse around a diverse array of topics, versus people that are introverted, they have a tendency to like to go deeper, and there's less things that interest them. And so, I'm not the best to talk to about about sports or politics or general news, I'm kind of in my own bubble. But if we're talking about personal development, if we're talking about business, if we're talking about personality psychology, if we're talking about food, if we're talking about spas, I could like talk to you forever. And so I just know that these are my topics. And then there's a narrower group of people that give me a lot of energy. And so I really recommend, to create your own event, just like how Diana does. And an event doesn't have to be a big production. It could be you and three other people having dinner at an amazing restaurant. And because there's, four of you, you can try all of the dishes on the menu. It could be the bring a friend technique. You're already planning to get your workout in and go on a hike, and you invite two other friends to join you, right? Or maybe you're really into self-care as Diana is, and she, organizes maybe a self-care Saturday at a spa. And I think that through our passions, it's a great way to show people who we are, and bring more people into the things that we feel are fun for us.
Self-care Saturday. I think I just coined that. Self-care Saturday. Who wants to come to the spa with me once a month?
Yeah.
That would be so fun. I would love that. I would love to ask the audience, like, what are some things that you can do? I love what you said here about hosting because that could be so easy to do. Even for myself, I am an extrovert, but I find that because I think this is growing up from Hong Kong that my voice wasn't always the loudest, and I find it actually challenging for me to be in big rooms where I need to really project my voice and be very loud. And so I love hosting intimate events, like 12 people,
Mm.
24 people type of events. And this is why this year I doubled down on events where I've hosted like 30 events, 8 in person. And what I find has been really effective has been really thinking about like what's the intention or purpose of this event? Who do I want to invite to this party, to this space that would make it fun, um, productive, and that supportive as well? And build that list and send that invitation. Like that has become really natural and easy for me versus feeling I need to blast it or broadcast it to a lot of people. And I think this is why I really align with your philosophy of being intentional and getting really clear on who are the people you want to bring together to create magic.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So I would love to ask the audience if you have any questions here. Let me see here. Lisa has a question. Lisa, do you want to ask a question? Want to come on camera, Lisa?
Sure.
Come on here.
Hey,
Hello.
Hey.
hi. So my question is, I consider myself really good at building and nurturing relationships, but when it comes to the third one,
Mhm.
activate, I don't have problem activating my network when there's something specific that I want. Like if I was hosting a big event or I was launching a book or something like that, I wouldn't have a problem activating my network. But can you give me some examples of some other ways you can activate your network? Because yeah, I feel like that's an opportunity for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give the example of affiliate partners or referral partners for your business because that's something that people really struggle with, right? So a lot of people like they think about like how do I get someone to promote me? How do I get affiliates? But I think of it's not about getting affiliates, it's about creating affiliates. And back when the business was really focused on the impacting millions model, I realized like no, my business, I mean, yes, I am here to help people get visibility, but for my business to grow, it's about my number one thing, my queen bee role is about just creating more affiliates, right? And so there are many different things that I would do. The number one thing for someone to promote, like, because someone can like you, but that doesn't mean that they're going to promote your business. In order for them to promote your business, they need to have an experience of your work. But maybe not everyone is ready to join someone's $5,000 or $10,000 program. So how do you have an experience of their work, right? And just seeing some posts on social media isn't enough. And so, thinking about how can you show it with generosity? Maybe it's something where you're gifting people a power hour with you. Maybe you're inviting them, giving them a complimentary spot to a workshop. One of the things I did for Impacting Millions is I organized a special event in Las Vegas. I invited 40, big influencers in my industry and friends to come to the event because I knew that they weren't, even if I gifted them the Impacting Millions course, they were not going to go through it. But if I hosted a big party in Las Vegas and did like a 1 day where I gave them my, Impacting Millions framework to get continuous publicity in their business, to connect them with other influencers and media professionals right there in the room, that they would be there, they would take in all the information, and they would be able to personally vouch for me. The other thing is, as I would get media opportunities, as I would make contacts at places like Forbes, I would think about who else can I share this with, right? How can I share this with, 12 people, 20 people, 30 people, versus just keeping an opportunity to myself, right? And so if I connected someone to Forbes, and they got a feature there, then they would have a story like, oh, it was my friend Selena that helped me get that media opportunity that led to this and that. And so with what you do, yeah, thinking about big ways and small ways, that you can have other people experience your work so that they can really feel like real advocates of what you do. And then also just generously pouring into people. When it comes to, people promoting your business, people have different motivations. Some could be incentive based, like, oh, I'm going to make this amount of money, or I'm going to make, these bonuses. But I actually find that that is like a weaker way of getting people. I mean, that has to be in place, but the best affiliates, that's not going to be the main driver. When I think about the people that I've promoted, it's the people that I'm intrinsically motivated to support. So it's people who I've actually worked with, I've actually hired. They created a result in my business and life. They poured like so generously into me. They've showed up in my lowest moments. They're always there. I think about, Kelly Roach, who has become a dear friend, and I've been in her program for a while, and she really believes in the work I do. She's a member of my Rich Relationships Club. She's enrolled 2 team members at every mastery event. She sends team there. When my book came out, she bought 100 copies. She's regularly promoting on social media. She's reaching out to me with ideas on how to, get more of the aligned people in the club. Like, she's always like proactive and like, oh, hey, I have an idea for you, Selena. Let's like book a call, right? And she's someone that charges like $250,000 to coach with one-on-one over the course of the year, because she's helped people build 8-figure businesses. And yes, I'm a paying client in certain capacities, but there's other ways in which she goes like so above and beyond, right? Like, she gives me things that are not even on the menu to buy. And she does that consistently and constantly, right? And so obviously, like, when her book comes out, it's like going to be a huge priority for me to move heaven and earth to make that book launch a big success. And she also has like a membership that's like $59 a month. And at some point, I'll probably be sharing about that. But if Kelly was just approaching me from like, oh, I have a membership and it's $59 a month, and you could make a 40% affiliate commission, you can make $30 for every new client you send me. And if you get 20 clients and you get this little cash bonus here, like, that's not motivational. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe it is for some people, but for me, like for a lot of successful entrepreneurs, making like a couple $100s here and there is not going to move the needle, right? Or even a couple of $1,000s. But then when I think about like my relationship with Kelly and the things that ways that she's shown up with me consistently and voice notes me and all of that, she's kind of in the category where it's like, you want to be that person where someone's like, I would do anything for this person. Like, I'm so going to show up for them in their important moments. So when we approach relationships very transactionally, oh, I do this for you, you do this for me. Oh yeah, you can make $50 here, $100, even $1,000. It's kind of like very low level versus like coming from like, I believe in you, I'm here to support you, I'm going to show up. Let me just pour into you and let's like create abundance and magic. And then similarly, those people are going to be like, oh my gosh, like I love this person. I also want to pour back into them. And they will find their own way, to help you that's even bigger than maybe what you initially intended for.
So good. Oh my gosh. Now I have so many ideas. Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, you're so
Like a
welcome.
million ideas.
I love it. This is so good. I love that story. Selena, thank you for sharing that because it really helps to see like ways of how we can build relationships. Like to me, what I'm taking away is don't be transactional. That's really the
Yeah.
key message here is like, oh, I'm going to do this for you so you can do this for me. And I've seen that. I've seen that people do that. Like, oh, I'm going to recommend a few people and you're going to do this back for me. That's
Yeah. And
very, very transactional.
I want to add something to that because sometimes people do things that are transactional. Well, there's a couple of things happening because recently there was like a big gift that I wanted to give someone, a dear friend of mine, B, and I was like, oh, I'd love to support you in this way. And then I said something at the end where it was like, I was like, don't worry, like I'm gonna take care of it. I'll pay for it. And if you want, like, feel free to, I don't know, like, get me a drink or a meal or whatever like that. And he mentioned something to me about like how there are some ways in which like that could be seen as like transactional. And I was like, that's so funny because honestly, like I don't need a drink or I don't need a meal. Like I can do that myself. But sometimes I was noticing that I would say things because some people felt uncomfortable receiving from me because I gave so much. And so to make them feel less uncomfortable, I was like, no, please, like, I just want to give this to you. But yeah, if you want to, like, pay for the next meal or whatever. But then he made a point and he was like, you know what? Like, but that's on them. It's like that's a good exercise for them to sit in the discomfort of just being a receiver. And I was like, you're so right. And most of the time I never am like, oh, do this for me in exchange, but sometimes people might say that just because they've noticed other people being like, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, that's too much. Or, oh, can I do this in return for you? And so we just come up with that thing. But I think it is like to Diana's point, it's much better to be like, I just want to support you in this way. This is a pure gift. I don't need anything in return. I just want to see you win. I think, that's just so much cleaner.
Yeah, I love that. Learning to receive, that's a big one. Receiving here. We have a question from Jackie here. Jackie, are you here if you'd like to ask the question to Selena?
I do, thank you. And Selena, hi, I love your book. I'm about halfway through it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what I love about it is everybody talks about, Dale Carnegie's win friends and influence people. And your book
Yeah.
is just such a modern take and it expands beyond that. And so it's just really refreshing. Um,
Oh, thank you.
yeah. So, what is a genuine way to reconnect with a former boss who's also a serial entrepreneur? He's a really strong super connector. So I could share my 2026 goal and see if he'd support me through introductions and kind of building off of what you said. I don't want it to feel transactional.
Yeah. When was the last time you were in touch with this person?
Probably a month ago, he had a real tragic situation that happened in his business, in one of his businesses. And so I immediately reached out when I heard and I said, I offered encouragement and really just expressed my, my sympathy for what had happened. And he got back to me right away. And I've emailed him a couple other times since then.
Yeah, so it sounds like this is a relationship that is well nurtured. And so the activation piece, should be relatively easy at this point. So I'm going to share my GIVE framework on how to make ask, GIVE. So when you're making an ask, you want to start with gratitude. That's what the G is for, right? And so we're not going to make asks out of like expectation or demands, but rather like coming from a place of like, hey, I just want to thank you for showing up, for being such a rich relationship in my life. Like in my case with my book launch, I would be like, hey, thank you for just being one of my biggest supporters and cheerleaders. It really means the world to me. When someone feels like you acknowledge them and you see what they've done for them, then they feel more receptive, right? And it starts like the conversation on like a very positive note. So start with gratitude. And then you want to go into I. So I stands for inspire. And the way that we inspire someone is by sharing our big vision. So in my case, I would share, my big goal is to get US rich relationships on the USA Today bestsellers list. And the reason why this is so important is because I really want to create a movement and help millions of people, unlock the power of rich relationships, right? And have more people show up in the world with breathtaking generosity, right? And be rich givers. So you want to share like, inspire like, I have these big goals for 2026. I have this big goal and this is why it's so meaningful, right? So they have like the context. And then you want to move into V. So V stands for very specific. You want to be clear on how they can help you. So in my case, I would say, with this book launch, the number one way that someone can support me is by buying books. That's how I'm going to get on the USA Today bestsellers list. I need to sell 4,000 books, and I know that it's impossible for me to do it on my own. The only way for me to achieve this, huge milestone goal is to lean on my, rich network for support. And so I'm reaching out to my closest friends and colleagues to see if they'd be willing to support me by buying 20 copies of the book, right? So I'm being very specific. I'm not saying, oh, will you do a tweet on social media? Will you feature me in your newsletter? Will you like I've identified out of everything, there's one thing that is most important, like buy some books. And ideally, if you can, 20 copies. And then you have E. E stands for easy out. So that's that energy of like non-expectation, not a demanding energy. So just saying, any way that you're able to help, would be so appreciative. And either way, I'm just so grateful for all the ways you've already shown up and supported me, right? Because nobody wants to say no, but sometimes they have to. Maybe they don't have the bandwidth. And so you want to make it safe for someone to say yes or no. So I would say like follow that formula, reach out to that person, tell them how much you appreciate them, get them excited about what you're creating, why it's so meaningful, get really specific on, the exact kind of person that you want to connect with. The more specific, the easier it is for the super connector to take action. And then also like that easy out, like lighthearted energy around it. Okay, awesome. I'm
Amazing.
glad that was helpful.
Thank you so much, Selena. I think we got one more question here and then we'll like wrap up soon. I want to ask the audience, what are your biggest takeaways here so far? There's a question here from Lauren. As a super introvert, how do you hype yourself up before hype yourself up or become more comfortable being more public facing?
How do you become more comfortable being more public facing? So I think the number one thing is like being more comfortable about, who you are. So, and also just being like more open, and transparent. Yeah, I'm reflecting on my own experience because even though I'm someone that has gotten a lot of people visibility, I haven't always been the most comfortable in the spotlight. I will say that one of the things is like doing the raps, and having those repeated conversations, podcast interviews, IG lives, whatever it is. Because what can once feel terrifying over time will feel second nature and you'll feel confident just because you know how it goes. And then also, part of doing the reps is like then discovering, what are the stories that you can share that really resonate with people, that get people thinking, oh my gosh, this person is so authentic. I can so relate to them and so forth. So there is that preparation in terms of, I mean, I've hired different, speaking coaches and messaging experts. When I developed the phrase, one rich relationship is more valuable than 100 casual connections, I was working with a coach at that time, like brainstorming different ideas and messaging. So I'm not just, throwing myself out there and not coming prepared. I already know, like, ooh, this is going to be strong and this is going to really land for someone. And I think also like owning, like for me, I own that I'm an introvert. Like there was a time in my life where I kind of wish that I was an extrovert. I wish that I was someone that had naturally had higher energy, that, had more like endurance being around people. And I just came to accept, I'm not that, but I am these other things. I'm really great at creating intimacy. I'm really great at making people feeling deeply seen and supported. I'm really good at discernment. I'm really good at pouring into people in breathtakingly generous ways. And a part of that comes from my introversion and like my more narrow kind of focus and focus on quality over quantity. And just like really honoring and celebrating that. And when I share them an introvert, other introverts are like, oh my gosh, this is so great to see. Like I can be an introvert and I can build rich relationships. I can have a successful business. I can receive support. And so, and also for anything that is a weakness, knowing that our weaknesses are typically our over functioning strengths, So we might have something where it's like, okay, I beat myself up because I'm not me, but someone else. Like maybe I'm like bad with details, but like maybe you're not the best at details, but maybe you're a big picture visionary, right? Who inspires other people. And so just really understanding yourself and like fully owning who you are and being excited to bring that to the table.
That is such a great reminder to just fully own who you are. right? Owning your greatness, your brilliance. I was just reminded yesterday from our mutual friend Linda Rayner yesterday that that I'm someone who has a soft feminine voice who holds space for people, and it was just great to hear that reflection back of what she sees in me. I used to think that I need to be this loud person in order to command a room to make friends, and it's just so great to hear. Okay, well, really just owning who you truly are, being authentic and showing up fully there. So. Selena, you've built such a well, you're one of the most warmest people I've met, very generous community that you build that I really have experienced. And this is why I'm so supportive. I love supporting and endorsing your book, why I wanted to bring you here and recommending people to your events here. For anyone who wants to stay connected, whether through your
Mhm.
book, events, or your Rich Relationships Club, what are the best ways for them to continue this journey with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I'm most excited about is my Rich Relationships Mastery event. So that is my 3-day event to help people build, nurture, and activate their rich network. The next one is going to be in Toronto, and thanks to Diana, Diana got me connected to the person who's helped me find this amazing event space. And so this is an event for multi six, seven, and eight-figure business owners. There are sometimes, like exceptions, but for the most part, it's multi six-figure business owners and above who are doing really substantial things in their industry. And so that event is coming up soon. Well, I don't know, in my mind, soon. It's coming up in May. And I'm going to find the link and just drop it in the chat if you want to check that out. And there's an application to fill out, but we would love for you to join us in person. And I feel like, Rich Relationships Mastery is like networking on steroids, and you're learning this skill, and you're developing your 12-month Rich Relationships plan. So that is really exciting. And actually, I just want to kind of focus on that for a moment. Dan, I would love to hear, like maybe your biggest, because it's like you have to leave your kids, you have to travel, right? What made Rich Relationships Mastery worth it for you to be in the room?
Yeah, I had to reschedule a lot of my plans to come to Austin, but the reason why I decided to go was really the quality and caliber of the people are in the room. So I knew just that the conversations would be next level for me, and it was. I got to second day sit with same table Kelly Roche, who gave me like such great advice, and I'm having a one-on-one conversation with her. So I think through that, I also just learned so much about rich relationships. I've always knew I was a great with building my network, but one of my biggest takeaway was I felt like I've been really good with the building piece and the nurturing piece, but like how do you really build it in a way that we help each other activate and also think of in a way of how do I also connect with people on a much deeper level, right? Not just supporting people who are looking to build their business, but even my own network of friends as well. So that was one of the reason why I decided to attend. And honestly, I came back a whole other new level of thinking, like a new identity of what is possible for me to think bigger, dream bigger. How do we continue to support one another? There's so much abundance of opportunities out there. So I really, really love that experience. And even though I'm based in Toronto, I decided I wanted to fly to Austin as well there. And I know my friend Lisa McPhee, who you just recently met, just signed up for your Rich Relationship Master in Toronto. I would love to bring her because we I know you just met her a couple weeks ago, Lisa. If you want to share a little bit about, because I know you attended her lunch, Selena's lunch mixer recently, and what made you decide to join the Toronto Mastery for next year.
Yeah, so I feel like, first of all, thank you both for this experience. It's been amazing. I've been blowing up the chat because there's just so much, my brain, I need to write notes. Um, so I went to Selena's mixer here in Toronto was it just last month because I feel like I've known you forever now, which is crazy. Um, and it was Diana invited me, and I was so grateful, to receive that invitation. And that experience, I mean, look, it like on one hand, it was just lunch, but it was not just lunch, it
Yeah.
was an experience. It was the energy. I walked out of like full disclosure, I wasn't having the best day, right? When I went there, and I had to kind of drag my ass there, and I got there and was just like wrapped in a hug, seeing all these people like that are, I mean, some of them are my heroes, frankly, and they're putting their hand out saying, "Hey, I'm so and so," and I'm like, I know who you are, right? Like,
Mhm.
hi. I mean, my head was saying that, but my voice that, "Hi, I'm Lisa." Um, how do you know Selena? But I left there just feeling so inspired and just really feeling like just different about myself and different about how I want to show up in the world. And to be honest, like I like how I show up in the world and I love who I am and the work that I do and the clients that I serve. But I just felt like anything was possible. Like anything was possible. And when I left there, like I said, it was one lunch. I was there for a couple of hours. It was outstanding, but I left there a different person. So as soon as Selena extended the invitation and opened up Rich Relationships Mastery in Toronto, I was like, I had already decided that I wanted to be in that room. I started reading her book the next day and I'm obsessed with it. I told Diana, I've been reading it like I'm studying a class in university because that's what it feels like to me. It's a master class in how to develop rich relationships. And I, like, for the record, I feel like I'm pretty good at it, but it's just such a great framework. And I'm going to implement it into my business and just my entire life. It's I can't even say enough good things. Yeah, it's amazing. Like so, so helpful. So thank you for the work that you do and putting that out into the world. And I can't wait to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm so excited for you to be there. And it's, I put a lot of time and care and intentionality on curating the most amazing rooms that will be very hard to assemble on your own. But really, power players, entrepreneurial leaders, and people that are really kind and generous and open-hearted and that are interested and want to learn about your goals and dreams and how they can support you. So I would actually love to know if anyone wants more information about mastery. I can also personally send it to you if you just want to drop the word mastery in. We have an event in Toronto in May. We have one in October in Austin. But either way, if you drop the word mastery, then I can just kind of be in touch with you and put you on the list to keep you posted on things. And if you can't come to mastery, I could also just, invite you to a mixer that I'm doing to kind of get to meet some of the people in my $100 million network. So awesome, Jackie, Lisa, Jacqueline, Aisha, and there's a couple other people in this room, Amy and others that Diana, you already connected me to that are coming to my mixer. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. Your mixer is on December 12th, and I'm going to be doing a little short speaking presentation, like a 7-minute presentation. But that's a great opportunity. It's the next step to come to one of Selena's mixers to learn more about her community there.
Yeah. And actually, if I may, I do have a request for the group. I'll use the as
Yeah, I was going to
give
ask,
while
what's
they're
your
here.
request? How can we support you? That was my next question.
Yeah, there is something that would really, really mean the world to me. And so one of the things that's so important for an author is to get Amazon reviews. Because when people are learning about rich relationships, whether they're, thinking about buying the book or whether they're thinking about hiring me in for speaking or just supporting me and spreading the message, the number one place they go to is Amazon. They type in the name of the book, and the first thing they see is how many Amazon reviews there are. And the more Amazon reviews, the more legitimate, and the more that people are like, oh, wow, like this is a book that people are endorsing and believing in. The thing with Amazon reviews is I found that it's incredibly hard to get reviews from people. A lot of people will say that they'll leave a review, but then they never, they don't actually do it or they forget about it or they get busy. And so it's something that has taken a lot of personal life force to get each and every Amazon review. But I'm so grateful to have over 300 at this point. Diana has given me a review, and many of my close friends. And so I would just be so grateful if you could even write like a 1 sentence review. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. You can also use Chat GPT for that. Just say, help me write an original Amazon review for rich relationships. Here are 2 things I like that Selena shared, whether it was like, concepts around breathtaking generosity, being a rich giver, 6 circles of connection. Someone earlier was saying how the book is like the new how to win friends and influence people. But if you could even just write like 1 sentence, that would be so, so major. Because yeah, every review, it takes so much to get it, but I appreciate it so much because it really helps strengthen the work and it's something that truly money can't buy. So yeah, I would so appreciate that. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to give you the direct link just to make it super easy because you could even write the review this moment, even without reading the book. I basically have highlighted all the biggest ideas from the book. And so yeah, that would truly mean the world to me.
Amazing. Yes, get the book, write the review. This is one of the books that I just absolutely love. I haven't taught networking for over a decade when I most popular talks. I just love how easy it is to implement with a lot of like just practical tips, framework scripts. So highly recommended. I just want to say as a closing here, thank you so much, Selena, for your time, wisdom, your frameworks and stories. I know you're in Dubai right now, so it's already late night for you. So thank you so much for being with us today. I think everyone can feel how powerful your work is because rich relationship it's not just a concept, it's a way of being, leading, a way of giving, and a way of showing up in the world. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you today for and for everyone who joined us today. If there's one thing I hope you all take away from today's session is that your next opportunity, your next client, your next collaboration, your next breakthrough is already connected to a relationship that you've built or haven't activated yet. So growth doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through people. It happens through generosity. It happens through intentional connection. So I invite you to ask yourself today is who can I reconnect with and nurture with? Who can I celebrate or support? Who can I check in on? And who can I activate? Not for a transaction, but because rich relationships multiply ways that you cannot predict. So if today's conversation resonated with you, I highly recommend getting Selena's book. And for those inside my coaching programs, we'll be integrating a lot more of what we learned today in your lead nurturing, your content, your sales process, and your rich relationship building strategy for 2026. And if you want more ongoing support in building a richer network, growing your visibility, and attracting more aligned clients, stay tuned because next year we're going to have more opportunities coming your way. I am celebrating my 15 years in business in January 2026. So there's going to be a virtual session January 29th where we're going to be talking about my journey, my key lessons learned, and how my best advice as well. So I invite you all to join that session. It's going to be a big one there. And I'm going to invite some of my closest friends to come ask me questions as well. So Selena, thank you so much again for today, for being part of a community. Thank you everyone for showing up today. And let's go build more richer relationships and richer lives as well together. Have a wonderful rest of the day, everyone.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. And I also dropped my Instagram. Feel free to add me. And if you have questions that come up, just voice note me. I would love to stay connected with you.
Yes, thank you. Take care,
Thanks.
everyone. Bye.